The internet is absolutely on fire. Just when you thought the saga couldn't get any worse, it did. A bombshell revelation has exploded onto the scene, and trust me when I say this says it all. It's the kind of revelation that makes you stop, gasp, and realize that everything we suspected, it was even worse. Of a legal war between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Buckle up, because what just surfaced might change everything. The leak that shook Hollywood, it started late last night when a mysterious set of audio recordings began circulating among journalists, legal insiders, and predictably gossip blogs. At first, no one could confirm the source. Was it someone from Baldoni's legal team, a rogue assistant, a disgruntled former friend of Blake? No one knew, but what we did know is that the contents were explosive. This wasn't just gossip. This wasn't speculation. This was hard, undeniable proof. A private phone call between Blake Lively and an unnamed high-profile PR crisis manager was leaked. In it, Blake can be heard panicking over how the narrative is slipping out of her control. But it gets worse, much worse, because in that call, she doesn't just vent, she admits. She admits that the lawsuit against Justin Baldoni was never about justice, never about truth. It was about control, about silencing someone who knew too much, about preserving a carefully curated image, even if it meant destroying someone else's life in the process. And hearing her say those words in her own voice, it's chilling. I never thought he'd fight back. In the recording, Blake can be heard saying verbatim, I never thought he'd fight back. He was supposed to fold. They always do. Let that sink in. They always do. This isn't just about Justin. This isn't just about one feud. This is a glimpse into how Hollywood power works behind the scenes. How certain people climb their way to the top not by talent alone, but by manipulation, control, and calculated moves against anyone who dares to stand in their way. The industry reacts: silence, then chaos. Within hours of the leak, the entertainment industry went into total lockdown. Major agencies were panicking. Executives were pulling out of meetings. Brands that had long partnered with Blake Lively went suspiciously silent. TMZ posted an emergency update. Variety had a front-page banner. Deadline was scrambling for confirmations. But perhaps the most damning reaction: radio silence from Blake's team. Not a word. Not a statement. Not even a denial. When Hollywood refuses to comment, that says everything. Ryan Reynolds caught in the fallout. And if you thought Ryan Reynolds was going to skate by unscathed, think again. Insiders report that Ryan had been on set filming a new project when the leak hit. Within 30 minutes, he abruptly walked off set. No explanation. His publicist was seen rushing into his trailer looking visibly panicked. According to a highly placed source, Ryan is furious that he's being dragged into this again. But here's the kicker: he was apparently on a separate call with the same PR fixer the day before the leaked conversation. What were they discussing? Damage control, protecting Ryan's image, distancing him from whatever was about to come out. Well, too late. The media turns. Remember how for months the media was subtly or not so subtly framing Justin Baldoni as the, painting him as the one causing drama, stirring trouble, being difficult? Yeah, that's over. In a stunning pivot, headlines started flooding the internet. Leaked audio exposes Blake Lively's secret plot. Hollywood stunned. Ryan Reynolds scrambles after wife's bombshell confession. Too little, too late. Justin Baldoni's truth vindicated. This changes everything. It's very rare for Hollywood media to turn this fast. But this leak, it's not something that can be ignored. Not even by the most carefully managed PR machines. Justin Baldoni responds, and he does not hold back. Within hours, Justin's team released a statement, and let me tell you, he did not pull punches. For over a year, I've sat quietly while lies were spun about me, career, and my character. Today's revelation confirms what I've known all along. I refuse to be bullied. I refuse to be silenced, and now the truth is undeniable. But that wasn't all. Justin then posted an Instagram story, just a black screen with one sentence written in white letters. This says it all. No hashtags, no tags, no follow-up, just that. It broke the internet. Behind the scenes, Hollywood starts turning on Blake. Suddenly the floodgates opened. Producers who had worked with Blake in the past began leaking stories of their own. Stories of toxic behavior on set, of backroom power plays, of projects that quietly fell apart because of her alleged manipulations. A former assistant, anonymous for now, claimed everyone was terrified of her. If you crossed her, you were done. She could pick up the phone and end your career, and she did. I saw it happen. Suddenly Blake wasn't the golden girl anymore. She was radioactive. A legal nightmare incoming, and here's where things get truly chaotic. Legal analysts are now predicting that this leak could completely implode Blake's case. Why? Because in the recording she admits that the lawsuit was about silencing Justin, not about real harm or defamation. That undermines her entire legal argument. One high-profile lawyer said on CNN this morning, "This is catastrophic for Blake. The courts do not look kindly on plaintiffs who weaponize litigation as a tool of intimidation. Frankly, her team should be preparing for sanctions or worse. And as if that wasn't enough, there's chatter that the judge is considering unsealing more documents in light of this leak. If that happens, oh boy, you think this is bad now. You haven't seen anything yet. The speed at which Hollywood moves when someone becomes toxic is absolutely terrifying. Within just 12 hours of the audio leak, at least 3 major brands reportedly put their endorsement deals with Blake Lively under review. One insider at a top luxury fashion brand whispered to Variety, "This is no longer a PR issue. This is a reputational crisis. We're quietly pulling her from our fall campaign." Even more damning, a Netflix executive leaked an internal memo stating effective immediately all future discussions involving Blake Lively-led projects are suspended until further notice. Netflix suspended everything. Let that sink in. Blake, who once sat comfortably at the top of Hollywood's most sought-after talent list, suddenly became a liability. Producers started pulling out of negotiations. A new romantic comedy that was reportedly in pre-production with her attached. Gone. Financing pulled. Investors walked. Hollywood doesn't wait for the courts. It judges in real time. Ryan Reynolds trapped between loyalty and survival while the world's focus was understandably burning holes through Blake Lively's permission. People quickly realized Ryan Reynolds wasn't escaping this mess either. A source close to Ryan confessed to Deadline he's in a panic spiral. This wasn't supposed to touch him, but the leaked call made it very clear he knew this was coming. He was part of the strategy discussions. He wasn't just a bystander. He was in it. In fact, the second leaked audio released just hours after the first featured Ryan discussing strategies with the same PR fixer. In his own words, "As long as we make Justin look unhinged, the public won't care about the details. The goal is distraction." Ouch. Ryan has spent years carefully building an image as Hollywood's beloved self-aware funny guy. Suddenly people began questioning how much of that was real, and how much was a masterclass in manipulation. Taylor Swift's indirect response, a subtle yet brutal move, and then, just when you thought it couldn't get more chaotic, Taylor Swift entered the chat indirectly. For months, Taylor had managed to stay relatively silent, even as her name popped up repeatedly in gossip blogs linking her friendship with Blake to this entire mess. But when the leaks dropped, Swifties noticed something subtle but brutal. Taylor wiped every single photo of Blake Lively off her Instagram within hours of the leak. No announcement, no explanation, gone. Then she posted a single cryptic Instagram story with a black background and white text that read, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." Maya Angelou Mick drop. The internet exploded. Hashtag Taylor knew started trending within minutes. Fans speculated whether Taylor had long suspected Blake wasn't the friend the public thought she was and had quietly distanced herself behind the scenes. A tidal wave of former friends, colleagues, and insiders speak out. Once Taylor made her move, it was like the final green light. People started talking. People who had been quiet for years. A former showrunner who worked with Blake on a shelved TV pilot years ago tweeted, "I tried to warn you all back in 2017, but no one wanted to listen." Another anonymous former co-star told People magazine, "You have no idea how many careers she quietly destroyed. She smiled to your face and made one phone call behind your back. Ask anyone who's worked with her, we all knew." Suddenly, Reddit threads that had been quietly speculating for years about Blake's behind-the-scenes behavior were filled with confirmations from verified insiders. It wasn't just one or two bad interactions, it was a pattern, a calculated pattern of control, manipulation, and destruction. Brands run for cover, the dominoes fall. By day 2, the financial fallout started becoming public. A 7-figure skincare deal terminated, a major fashion house collaboration pulled, an upcoming streaming deal for a lifestyle docuseries featuring Blake and Ryan dead in the water. One entertainment lawyer told The Hollywood Reporter no brand wants to be associated with someone whose leaked audio shows them bragging about ruining people's lives. This isn't salvageable in the short term, maybe not ever. Blake's legal team total meltdown. Meanwhile, inside Blake's legal camp, chaos. Sources claim her lead attorney, who had been confident about their strategy, just days earlier threatened to resign. The audio tapes don't just damage their public image, said one legal expert on MSNBC. They directly undermine the credibility of Blake's sworn statements in court filings. This could open the door to counterclaims of malicious prosecution or worse. There are now whispers that Justin Baldoni's lawyers are considering suing Blake for abuse of process, which if successful could force her to pay massive damages. The judge reacts, and it's not good for Blake. As if that wasn't enough, the judge presiding over the case reportedly held an emergency closed-door hearing Insiders present say the judge was visibly angry when the leaked tapes were brought to his attention. According to Courtroom Whispers, the judge warned Blake's team that if any further evidence emerges, showing the case was filed in bad faith, he will consider sanctions including monetary penalties and potential referral for investigation into ethical violations. Translation: this isn't just a PR nightmare, this could become a legal disaster of epic proportions. By day 3, it was undeniable Blake Lively's Hollywood standing was collapsing in real time. What started as a PR crisis turned into a full-scale industry exodus. Multiple insiders confirmed that Blake was quietly removed from several elite Hollywood groups and private celebrity circles, WhatsApp chats, text groups, private member clubs, gone. An anonymous studio executive bluntly told Variety she's done. No one wants the smoke that comes with her name right now. The risk outweighs the reward. No one touches her. Phone calls stopped getting answered. Meetings were suddenly postponed indefinitely. PR firms who had billed her millions over the years refused to represent her anymore. Her main crisis PR handler reportedly dropped her within 48 hours. Of the leaks, this is the part of Hollywood no one talks about. When the machine turns on you, it turns fast, brutally, completely. The power vacuum stars who quietly move in, and here's where it gets even pettier. As Blake's reputation went up in flames, other actresses who had felt sidelined by her influence suddenly saw an opening. A-list competitors were reportedly sliding into meetings Blake would have had. Her upcoming endorsement deals gone, and someone else was getting the phone call. One source close to a streaming giant revealed the script that was supposed to be a Blake vehicle. Oh, it's already being shopped to Anne Hathaway and Margot Robbie. There's no waiting around. Hollywood doesn't mourn, it replaces. Ryan Reynolds forced into damage control with a second audio leak implicating Ryan Reynolds. Directly, the walls closed in fast. Ryan's lawyers scrambled to prepare statements, but every draft made him sound either guilty, complicit, or pathetically out of touch. For a man whose entire brand was about being likable, the fallout was devastating. On the 4th day, Ryan released a statement on Instagram, black background, white text. The classic damage control format. It read, "I deeply regret the conversations that have come to light. I take full responsibility for my role in them. My intention was never to harm anyone, but I now recognize that words have power. I apologize to Justin Baldoni, his family, and anyone hurt by my actions." Was it enough? Not even close. Social media instantly shredded it. The top comment on Instagram summed it up so: "You were just pretending to be the nice guy this whole time." At Pop Culture Trudum, within minutes, the comment had over 750,000 likes. Suddenly, Reynolds' carefully crafted image, years of snarky tweets, viral ads, relatable dad jokes, started to feel fake, manufactured, hollow. Justin Baldoni's victory lap, vindication at last. And then there's Justin. For months, Baldoni had endured being painted as the villain, the aggressor, the problem. Now the public saw him for what he truly was: someone who refused to be silenced. On day 5, Justin sat down for an exclusive interview with the New York Times. When asked how he felt about the leaked audios, his response went viral: "I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not. This is how the system works. I've seen it happen to others. I just never thought it would happen to me." When the interviewer asked what he would say to Blake if she were watching, Baldoni paused, then said simply, "This says it all." Those 4 words broke the internet again. Public sentiment, the shift heard around the world. Twitter, or X as it's now called, exploded. TikTok was flooded with creators dissecting every frame of the leaked audios, YouTube videos, with titles like "They lied to US Ryan Reynolds" and "Blake Lively's fake image exposed." Justin Baldoni deserves an apology from ALL of US. The Hollywood collapse of Blake Lively. A timeline of her downfall. Comment sections weren't divided, they were united, unforgiving, brutal. Fans felt betrayed. Audiences who had once adored Blake and Ryan were now openly questioning how much of their public personas were real and how much had been manipulation all along. Brands delivered the final blow. The final corporate domino fell when aviation giant Ryan Reynolds' own brand announced it would be transitioning to new ownership. Yep, Ryan's company, arguably one of his biggest personal branding success stories, cut ties with him. The statement was cold, corporate, merciless. Effective immediately, Mr. Reynolds will no longer serve as spokesperson or board member. The brand is grateful for his contributions, but believes the future requires a different direction. Translation: you are bad for business. Blake's desperate move, a last attempt to survive, cornered, isolated, radioactive. Blake Lively did what all celebrities do when their backs are against the wall. She scheduled an exclusive sit-down tell-all interview, the chosen outlet Oprah. But here's the problem: the public wasn't buying it. Before the interview even aired, hashtag started trending, hashtag too little too late, hashtag Blake knew Hashtag the sensible clips of the interview leaked early. In them, Blake tried to cry, tried to frame herself as a victim of cancel culture. But her words fell flat because in the background the world had already heard her own voice. Her own words, her own admission, legal consequences. It's not over. As the media storm reached its peak, the courts were quietly preparing the next bombshell. Justin's legal team filed a $150 million countersuit for defamation, abuse of process, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Legal analysts say it's strong, very strong. One legal expert said on CNN, given the evidence from the leaked audios, this countersuit has teeth. A jury isn't going to like what they heard. Blake could be on the hook for damages that permanently change her financial future. Worse, there are whispers that the judge is considering referring the matter to the district attorney for potential criminal investigation into perjury and filing false claims. This isn't just PR fallout anymore. This is a legal meltdown. By the end of the week, Blake Lively was no longer just a disgraced celebrity. She was persona non grata in Hollywood, completely isolated, utterly abandoned. Her closest allies gone, former co-stars unfollowed her publicly. Brands scrubbed her from campaigns she had already shot. Streaming services quietly removed her face from thumbnails and promotional material. An insider at WME, her former agency, delivered the coldest statement. Yet we no longer represent Ms. Lively, effective immediately. We wish her well in her future endeavors, but the truth, there were no future endeavors left. She had been erased. The quiet phone calls former friends run for cover. The most brutal part of this fall wasn't the headlines, it was the quiet phone calls behind the scenes. Hey, just letting you know, we have to cancel that thing we were planning. I hope you understand. It's just a really sensitive time. This isn't personal, but it was all personal, very personal. The same people who smiled at Blake's dinner parties were now pretending they'd never been close. Whisper networks spread like wildfire. Stay away from her, she's poison now. A list group chats removed her without a word. Directors who once lined up to work with her ghosted her. Red carpet invites disappeared. Hollywood doesn't offer explanations. When it shuts a door, it just shuts it, quietly, permanently. Justin's final victory, the courtroom, ends it all. 2 months later, the countersuit went to court, and the result, an absolute annihilation. The jury ruled in favor of Justin Baldoni on every count. Defamation guilty, abuse of process guilty, intentional infliction of emotional distress guilty. Blake was ordered to pay $150 million in damages, a financial blow so severe that insiders immediately started whispering about her facing bankruptcy. The judge's closing remarks were brutal. This court does not exist to serve as a weapon for personal vendettas. Ms. Lively's actions were malicious, reckless, and showed a blatant disregard for the truth. It wasn't just a win, it was a public dismantling of everything Blake had built. Ryan Reynolds' reputation in ruins. Ryan didn't escape unscathed. While he wasn't part of the lawsuit directly, the public had made up its mind. His endorsement deals slashed, his production company lost key partnerships. His social media, once a source of constant love, now filled with comments like, turns out the nice guy act was just that, an act. Apologize harder, you were complicit. Silence when it mattered, loud when it didn't. We see you now. For a man whose career was built on likability, the damage was existential. Netflix canceled his upcoming film. Disney quietly stepped away from future collaborations. And even Mint Mobile, his own company, announced it was being sold without Ryan as part of the deal. His public apology tour felt desperate. Too little, too late. Taylor Swift's final word, brutal, simple, and inevitable. Then came the final blow. Taylor Swift, who had remained cryptic but firm throughout, finally broke her silence in the most Swiftian way possible. On the morning after the court ruling, Taylor posted one single image to her Instagram. A photo of a coffee mug, white, plain, with bold black text. It read, "This says IT all," no caption, no explanation. The internet erupted. Swifties flooded every corner of social media. Memes, reaction videos, commentary. TikTok blew up, Instagram flooded, Twitter X broke. The message was clear. Taylor had said what the world was already thinking. And with that, she closed the book on Blake Lively. The industry's reckoning, a warning to all insiders. Now describe this saga as the Lively effect. A warning to everyone in Hollywood. Don't weaponize the legal system for personal gain. Don't build a public image on lies. Because when it falls hard. Studios implemented new crisis management protocols. PR agencies quietly revised their vetting processes. Talent managers whispered reminders to their clients, don't be a Blake. What happens to Blake now? Her Beverly Hills mansion sold quietly, below market value. Her production deals canceled. Her agents, managers, publicists gone. Sources say she's fled Los Angeles entirely, relocated to an undisclosed location. No longer seen at fashion shows, no longer on red carpets. No longer mentioned in polite Hollywood conversation, there are whispers of a memoir. But publishers are wary. A redemption tour maybe, but the public isn't forgiving, not this time. Blake went from America's sweetheart to Hollywood's cautionary tale. Faster than anyone thought possible, Justin Baldoni from victim to victor. Justin, meanwhile, emerged not just victorious but transformed, offers flooded in, directors, studios, brands. He became the face of resilience, a symbol of standing up to abuse of power. Someone who fought back and won. In his first post-court interview, when asked what this experience taught him, he smiled and simply said, "Sometimes the truth takes a while, but it always shows up." The legacy of this scandal, this says it all, and as the dust settled, the phrase that echoed across Hollywood social media, news outlets, and private conversations was the same. This says it all. It was more than just a meme, it was a symbol. A symbol of the fall of Blake Lively, a symbol of the survival of Justin Baldoni, a symbol that no matter how powerful you think you are, the truth always catches up.